Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be looking at the common mistakes to avoid in mocks. Although mocks are very important and efficient tools which help you to analyze what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, if they are not used properly, they may prove to be fatal as well. So in this video, we'll be looking at 6 common mistakes that you should avoid while writing mocks, before mocks, that is when you prepare for mocks, and after mocks, that is when you analyze the mocks. So let's begin. Mistake number one, this is the most common mistake that we see being done by almost all aspirants until they realize that they are actually doing a mistake. It is too many mocks and too less analysis. We are often told by our seniors, by our say educational institutions, coaching institutions, or we generally hear that too many mocks is a recipe for success in CAT or for any exam in general. That the truth is, however, not so. Then let us try to understand how many mocks is too many mocks for a person. So this changes from person to person because it actually depends on your ability to analyze. So if you're able to take one mock per week and able to analyze it very thoroughly, then that much is enough. If you're able to take one mock per 2 weeks and able to analyze it very thoroughly, that many number of mocks is enough for you. So what I mean by this is whenever you take a mock, more than the mock, the analysis part of that is very important. So then let us move to the next question. How much time should you spend for analysis? For a 3-hour mock, you should end up spending ideally 4 to 6 hours of proper analysis. So by analysis, what I mean is from right from the beginning to the end. How many questions you have attempted, how many questions you have gone wrong, what are your strong areas, what are your weak areas, are you improving in your weak areas, and what are the questions where you're spending a lot of time, is it avoidable, or have you left some of the questions which are easy and medium, or have you left some of the questions from the concepts which you already know. So all these things need to be analyzed from a mock. So there are a lot of examples, like one example could be my case where I have taken say around 10 to 15 mocks at max. And there are some of the examples where people take a lot of mocks, 45 mocks, and that works for them. So try to find out which works for you, and also take a mock only if you're able to analyze it very thoroughly and very properly. Otherwise that mock is a waste of 3 hours of your time. It is not also practice because in mock you tend to leave some of the questions, you are under time pressure, etc. Basically you're simulating the entire exam condition in the mock. So it will be useful only if you're able to analyze and get some advantage out of that mock. Let's move to mistake number two. Mistake number two, following too many materials and books. This is also one of the common mistakes which we see where students start collecting a lot of material from their seniors, some of the e-books, and even collecting material of a lot of other institutes, coaching institutes, apart from what they are currently at. Don't worry too much about all these materials, because the basic concepts which are there, they will not change much from material to material. So what I would suggest is have a limited and trusted set of material which is a go-to material for you to get all the basics and the concepts which are related for say a CAT exam or for any other exam in general. So once you get that, you have to it is better if you follow this method: concept practice, concept practice. What this method essentially is that you take a concept, understand it, say at least a 70% of it, then start practicing the problems. Then you will understand where you are lacking the concept or where your concepts are not very clear. Then come back to the concept and look at that particular concept. This is especially applicable in cases of some of the very vast concepts such as say a geometry. So in geometry, what we generally see is there will be a lot of theorems, lot of concepts, and if you start diving deeper and deeper, you will start getting more and more concepts, right? So instead of diving completely deep into that, get a sense of what is the basics, then start practicing the exact CAT level problems. Come back and look at those concepts which you are not very sure of. Also, while in search of your these materials and books, or maybe any online material, always try to find those sources which give you the exact level of questions or practice problems as the exam you are attempting. Say in case of CAT, try to find those sources which give you CAT level of questions and CAT syllabus of questions, right? So that is very important for you. So rather than spending a lot of time in finding too many materials, spend some time in finding the right sources. So once you find those sources, stick to them, follow them very properly, so that will be more helpful than collecting a lot of materials and keeping them and getting confused, right? So let's go to mistake number 3. Mistake number 3, calculating and attempting limited number of questions. So again, it is very important for you to know what are the past set of papers like, and what is the difficulty level, and what is like a rough estimate of the 99th percentile, 90 percentile, or 100 percentile, etc. That is good to know, but don't take it very seriously that you'll attempt only those many number of questions. Say if you got to know that a DILR 100 percentile can be got by attempting by getting say a 60 marks. It doesn't mean that you will stop attempting DILR by the time you attempt already 60 marks, or when you're sure you'll get 60 marks. So that is not how it is. Why? Because if it is easy for you, always understand it's easy for the rest of the aspirants as well, the rest of the people who are attempting the exam. If it is difficult for you, it will be difficult for everyone else, given that you have prepared and covered all your basics. So, and also CAT is a very uncertain exam where the pattern might change. As of now, we did not see a very drastic change of pattern over the years, but there might always be a change of pattern because it does not give you a fixed pattern. And the difficulty level may also increase or decrease for different sections from year to year. So you don't take these numbers too seriously that you'll attempt only these many questions, or you'll relax after attempting those many questions. So what then is the right number of questions for you to attempt? So the good attempts for you, so far as that mock is concerned, or so far as that exam is concerned, is as many as you can with the then concept. This means that if you have some concept, if you already studied the basics of that particular part, and if you are say comfortable with easy and medium questions in that particular concept, you should be able to answer all those questions which can be answered with the then concept which you are having, right? So this is very, very important. Always people will calculate what is the good number of attempts, did I attempt the right number of questions. It completely depends on you and your preparation level. So if your preparation level is say in the very beginning stage, ensure that what all questions you can attempt with that much of concept, you should be able to attempt without getting panicked, or without leaving those questions, mistaking them to be some difficult questions, etc. Right? Also, the overall score is also important apart from the sectional score. So although you know that there are different sectional cutoffs, so even if you reach 100 percentile with a 60 score, but if you can score 10 more points, it will still result you in 100 percentile in that particular section, but it will boost up your overall score. Right? Always keep your overall score in mind. So don't give up after attempting those many number of questions, or don't give up if you're unable to attempt those many number of questions, because you never know the difficulty level of CAT. It might change from year to year. Coming to mistake number 4, again this is a very common mistake where people listen to a lot of Gyan videos or Gyan from the seniors, etc., and lack practice. So although they are important, the knowledge transfer, the motivational talks, or whatever people have acquired the knowledge about while preparing, etc., it is important, but ensure you don't spend more time on that. Ensure that most of your time is spent on practice, and it is okay if you feel demotivated sometimes and you want to look at motivational talks, or maybe you want to go to someone initially to understand what material to look from, how to prepare, etc., etc. That is very, very fine, but don't start only doing that. Don't start only looking at motivational videos, because practice is very, very important, and without practice it is impossible to crack any exam. Right? So always keep this in mind and limit yourself that only this much time I'll be watching these Gyan videos or motivational videos, and the rest of the time I'll be spending on say a concept or preparation, etc., etc. Then also always having a right mentor is very, very important, because mentors are someone who have already gone through the path and will help you to understand what the path is like, and will also help you to understand what are the common mistakes that would be committed, so that you will not waste much time learning it by yourself all together. Right? So I suggest you should have two types of mentors. One would be someone who has written that particular exam or crossed that particular path successfully, and the second one should be someone who's from your background, say from your college or your school, or someone from your locality. The reason for having the second mentor is that those mentors who come from similar background as you will understand what are the best methods that suit you, or you may be having a lot of things in common, so that what worked for him or her will also work for you. So have these two types of mentors. Again, instead of spending a lot of time on motivational talks, it is important to have motivation, but after a certain time it is better if you spend some time on finding these mentors and getting guidance from them, because these are the people who have gone through that path and will know what is right and what is not so right, right? Then let us move to the fifth mistake: getting demotivated by scores and percentiles in mocks, and also the other way around, also getting too much happy because you scored 100 percentile in mock. So always take these percentiles and scores with a pinch of salt. It is very good if they are motivating you, but don't get too much motivated that you stop preparing. Right? So these mocks are not the end. The actual exam is the end of the preparation. If you manage to score a very good percentile or whatever percentile you are aiming for. So don't get too much demotivated. So then how must you take these mocks, right? So always understand that if you take the number of people who are appearing for a mock compared to those people, those number of people who are appearing for the actual exam, for CAT, for example, it will, the number will always be a 10x or a 20x, right? So say 10,000 people are taking mock, a particular mock. So there will be 2 lakh plus people who are taking the actual CAT exam. So and also always remember, those people who are very serious about the exam are those people who start who will start to take mocks very early, right? So you are essentially competing with those set of people who are serious in their preparation, and you are getting so and so percentile. So it generally happens that whatever percentile you get in mocks and whatever percentile you get in your final actual exam, your final exam will have mostly a better percentile than your mock. So don't get too much demotivated if your percentile is low or if percentile is not as expected. Also, the score depends on various factors such as difficulty, preparation, etc. So it may so happen that the mock which you have written is very easy as compared to CAT, or very difficult as compared to CAT, or at the CAT level. And no one exactly knows what would be the CAT level until the paper for that particular year comes out. Because again, as I said before also, and emphasizing it again, the CAT is a very unpredictable exam. So it is important for the institutes also, or for those people who are preparing mocks, to give mocks of different levels, right? So don't worry too much about your scores or percentiles. Then instead, what should you do? You should aim for a continuous improvement so far as your score or your percentile is concerned, right? And also, there will be a scenario where all of you who are preparing might reach a plateau. What that means is, say you're improving from say a 70th percentile or 80th percentile or maybe a 50th percentile, and you reach say a 90 or a 95th percentile. After that it will become very difficult for you to improve your scores or improve your percentiles. It is completely okay. Take one step at a time, one question at a time, and try to improve that. It is okay if you hit a plateau somewhere, take maybe a 2 or 3 day break, come back with enthusiasm and start preparing, right? So don't worry too much about these plateaus, these scores and percentiles. However, they give you a rough benchmark as to where you stand so far as the other serious aspirants are concerned. Take them for what they are meant to be. Coming to mistake number 6, waiting to finish the entire syllabus to start mocks. So this is a misconception which even I had when I was initially preparing for CAT. So you need not wait until you finish the entire syllabus. Why? Because as I said before, there are some of the those topics which are very vast. They are like an ocean. So if you wait to prepare the entire syllabus, it may be too late for you to start taking mocks, and then you may realize that they do not form a very big part of the actual CAT paper, right? So at least try to finish 50% percentage of the syllabus, and then you can start with mocks. And for everyone, I think people who came to me for suggestions will relate to this very well. I always tell them start with a mock, because a mock is a tool which gives you a very clear idea of what are your strong areas, what are your weak areas, and where you should exactly start your preparation. So I always suggest people to start your preparation first. Take a mock without any preparation, Understand what are your very weak areas and what are your very strong areas, and or your moderately weak and moderately strong areas, and then divide your time according to that particular level of comfort. Also, this is a very good tool. So it doesn't mean you have to skip mocks just because they demotivate you or you did not finish your syllabus, etc. It is a very good tool to give you the right estimation of what are your strong and weak areas. So you should write like a number of mocks which will suit you for your preparation. Always use mocks as a self improvement and feedback tools. Don't use them otherwise. Don't get demotivated by looking at the percentiles or the scores in the mock. So it is very important to use a mock for what it is meant to be.